but fortunately, I think bringing the roof on saved the day for him.
Saved his life.
Yeah.
Aye. Right. Chris won't be joining us today, so
Oh dear.
he hasn't said why, but he hasn't even sent me a note from his mum, so I don't know what.
Yeah.
Have to give him 100 lines.
Yeah.
100 lashes.
Knots must have lost.
He'll be at Wembley. He'll be at Wembley getting about.
Oh, they're playing. Paul, not for playing might be the answer.
Right. I might have to leave the meeting at some time as Sue's dad's not very well.
Oh dear.
So
that.
I've made Ian the host for this session, and if I've gone for the second half, Ian will again be the host for that. So anyway, so shall we get on with things? And we'll start off with John telling us some news about the group.
Yeah, a few bits and pieces. I was talking to Stuart's wife, Sue, yesterday, and Wednesday have still not refunded her the season ticket money that they owe her, over 500 quid's worth, after Stuart, you remember, passed away a few months ago now. There is a mechanism that's been revealed by the House Trust for getting your money back under certain circumstances. They've promised her a response in the next week. If they don't, then I'll let her know what this mechanism is and support her to try and get her money back as quickly as possible. I know they're short of money, but if somebody's actually passed away, it's disgraceful. Yeah. Anita and Cyril, the saga of their carpets. If you remember, many weeks ago, Keith and I helped them move the furniture because they'd had a leak, etc., etc., etc. And she'd also had some problem with a carpet salesman. I think he was the one that Rowan Atkinson bought the carpet off in the film adverts about 20 years ago. Anyway, they've got the carpet sorted out. You'll be pleased to know, even though he didn't know they'd got a problem with the carpets, but it's been worrying her. And it's bad if you're in your late 80s, as me and Keith know, and you're being harassed by dodgy carpet salesmen and fitters. Glenn had a great birthday in Norfolk last week, and he passed on his good wishes for all the good wishes that we sent to him. Had some interesting photos of him with a suntan. Yeah. It was Brian's birthday. He had 2 days of garden parties and frolicking with Bluebell girls. So, and he still wore his tie. Amazing man.
Only his tie, though.
Only his tie, yeah. Day 2, it was a dicky bow, though. Yeah. Exactly. Last Wednesday, eight of us met up at the Cafe and had a good time. And we plan to do it next week as well, although Richard is making inquiries with his Pilates club to try and get us the use of their room on Wednesday mornings. Obviously, we'll need to make sure everything's okay and health and safety and everything else, but he's making inquiries about that.
I wouldn't recommend it, John. At Pilates, it's right strenuous, you know.
It wouldn't be the way I did it. Yeah. Anyway, that's finished with the news. But a few weeks ago, if you don't mind, I noticed in the Star there was an article about a local sporting hero, and I meant to bring it up, and I didn't. So if you just excuse me reading it quickly to you, I think it's interesting. When naming Sheffield's most famous runner, most people would mention 4-time Olympic medalist Sebastian Coe, now Lord Coe. However, the Friends of Darnall Cemetery have discovered the grave of George Littlewood, known as the Sheffield Flyer, whose feats of endurance and long-standing world records make him one of Sheffield's forgotten heroes. George was born in 1859 in Rawmarsh hardly in Sheffield, but anyway. He specialised in professional 6-day races, which were very popular, attracted huge crowds and lots of betting. The races were called pedestrians in those days. He still holds the record for 6-day walking achieved in Sheffield between March 6th and 11th, 1882, on a 13-lap to the mile track in Norfolk Drill Hall, completing 531 miles. George won numerous races, but in 1883 he raced against a horse in a 17-mile race from Doncaster to Sheffield. He lost by 3/4 of a mile. Yeah, it was a pantomime horse, by the way. His fame was so great. His fame was so great, he was invited to race in the USA and made the trip twice. In 1887, he annihilated the best opposition in the world in the championship of the World Sweepstake. In front of a massive crowd, he broke the 600-mile barrier at Madison Square Gardens. His record of 623 miles and 1,320 yards stood for 96 years. One rival tried to sabotage him by setting fire to the tin bath of spirit that George treated his aching feet in. Let's hope he weren't lying in it. So, I mean, undeterred, George battled on to win and break the world record and collect the prize of $6,000, £120,000 today. After he retired, George took over the King's Head Tavern in Attercliffe. He died on December the 4th, 1912 in Sheffield. His funeral was attended by 3,000 people. Sadly, George's grave has been neglected and is in need of restoration. Yeah, so there's a Friends of Darnell Cemetery restoring his grave. One supporter, John Nicholson, has written a song called The Sheffield Flyer that he's hoping to record. The final lines are, so when you think your limit's reached and you can go no further, push on for just that one more lap, like George, the Sheffield Flyer. They'll be writing songs about Paul the Biscuit before too long. Anyway, I thought it were worth a mention, an old Sheffield hero that few, if any of us, will have heard of, and it's nice to resurrect him.
And strangely enough, John, mentioned a name there, John Nicholson. And John Nicholson is also buried in Darnell Cemetery.
Is he?
Yes. For those who don't know, John Nicholson was Sheffield United's most successful secretary stroke manager. They weren't called managers then.
Was he the first one who lasted 30 odd years?
Yes. Yes. So he's won the cup several times and won the league.
Interesting.
Sad story, really. They were going to a match, and he'd left something in his office. So he went back, came back to the station on the tram, stepped off the tram and was hit by a lorry. And that was the end of John Nicholson. He's buried in Darnell Cemetery. I believe there might even be one or two other famous Sheffield footballers from both United and Wednesday buried in Darnell Cemetery.
It's quite a big cemetery, Darnell.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of graves.
My grandma and granddad are buried there, plus my dad's elder brother who died tragically. But he actually won a school sports day race at Bramall Lane in his youth in the 1920s.
That's pretty good. Whilst we're on with cemeteries, just to mention, Fatty Falk, Billy Falk, he's buried in Burngreave Cemetery.
Yeah,
in 2 graves.
So, John Garrett's been involved with the restoration of a number of footballers' graves, but apparently Fatty Falk's, the family are still around, so they've restored his grave to glories. So
very good.
Right, John, about that. So we'll move swiftly on to LOL and the news of the week. News
News
of
of the week, Lowe's. News of the week.
What have we got for you today? Well, the first item, it went a little bit under the radar when it was announced. Now, it's about the world's strongest man. Now, Tom Staltman has become the first Scot to win the world's strongest man title. The 6'8" athlete from Invergordon, who weighs 28 stone, 5 pounds, won the competition in Sacramento in California. The 27-year-old is already the Scotland's strongest man title holder and the younger brother of 5-time Scotland's strongest man, Luke Staltman. He has often spoken about living with autism, saying that when he was a young teenager, he was unable to go outside on his own. Anybody hear about that title he won?
Yeah, wasn't it on one of the broadcasters on the football match mentioned it? It could have been in one of the Scotland games.
I think you're right there, yeah.
And I think, wasn't he runner-up last year or something? Hello?
Well, does anybody remember Jamie Reeve, who used to...
He lived
Yes.
at Inty with me.
Yes.
My brother's friend.
Well, his brother, Jock, lives in Mosborough, just opposite us, so I see him on a regular basis.
Oh, I used to go to school with Jock.
Did you?
Did you?
Jockey Reeves, yeah. They lived at the side of the, what they call it? What they call them? Not Mormons. Jehovah's
Oh,
Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness on Prince of Wales Road.
Oh, yeah.
Ravencar Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case everybody who's not aware who Jamie Reeves is, he's a Sheffielder and he was the world's strongest man a few years ago. So
Well, according to Jock, his body's shot. He's ruined his body, like a physical wreck, almost.
yeah.
Because of all that pumping iron and it's done no good to him as life's gone on.
Yeah. It's what happens when you stop doing what makes it that big, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that with a lot
Yeah.
of football, don't you?
Yeah.
They clap weight on, straight away.
It must be our reason then.
So you be careful, Paul Wildman. You know, when
Yeah.
you're running, mate.
I just keep going.
He'll go up to, if he stops, he'll go up to 32 stone.
You'll turn into a biscuit.
Sorry.
Who's playing the xylophone?
All the biscuit. His biscuit is
Oh,
just
man,
have it,
half
yeah.
biscuit.
Shirley Abigail.
Well, we'll carry on then. On to
Sorry.
athletics now.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Now, New Zealand's Laurel Hubbard has become the first ever transgender athlete picked to compete at an Olympics Games in a controversial decision. Officials have selected her for the women's weightlifting team for Tokyo 2020 after qualifying requirements were recently modified. She had competed in men's events before coming out as transgender 8 years ago. Critics say that Hubbard has an unfair advantage, but others have argued for more inclusion at the Games. Any thoughts on that?
You
Say it was
Hubbard in
there's only
the
one description in there, a load of bollocks.
Oh, we'll carry on.
I feel sorry for people in that situation, but they do have an unfair advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sad, but true.
Yeah.
Especially in an event like that.
Yeah.
Weightlifting is
All
good.
about strength. isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
She's had years of training, or he's had years of training as a bloke
Yeah.
with all the testosterone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be
Yeah.
Right.
Not be right.
Keeping on with athletics. Now, up to 10,000 Japanese fans will be permitted at the Olympic venues, despite warnings from health bosses. Overseas spectators are already banned, but organisers said that domestic fans can attend, providing crowds do not exceed 50% of capacity of the venue, and they will not be allowed to shout or speak loudly, and must wear face masks at all times while in the venues.
That'll be difficult for the Japanese not being able to shout.
I know.
as long as they can still
There'll be
take
no
photos.
problem where
I don't think he shout
because they
Banzai
wear them
anymore,
all the
Dave.
time anyway, don't they?
The six-time Olympic champion, Alison Felix, qualified for her 5th Games with a second-place finish in the 400 metres at the US trials. The 35-year-old, who has 9 Olympic medals in total, clocked 50.02 seconds behind winner Gwenera Hayes. She has also launched her own shoe brand in the build-up to this summer's Olympics. Felix said that in 2019, Nike wanted to pay her 70% less after she became a mother, before the company changed its contracts for pregnant athletes. She decided not to renew her contract with Nike and instead joined a women's athletic wear company.
Good for her.
Sponsored by Mother Care.
Yeah.
The 4-time Olympic champion, Mo Farah, will now consider his future after failing to qualify for this year's Games. 38-year-old Farah missed the 10,000 metre selection time by 19 seconds at a cold and windy British Championships in Manchester last Friday. With pacemakers to help him, he needed to go under 27 minutes, 28 seconds to make the British team for Tokyo, but finished in 27 minutes, 47 seconds. I don't know what to think or what's next. If I can't compete with the best, why bother, said Farah after the race. I think age has caught up with him personally. Anybody, any other
Yeah.
thoughts?
How
That's
old
the-
is he now?
the
How old is he
hardest-
now?
38.
38, yeah.
It's the hardest thing in any sport to realise that you've come to the end of the line and call it a day.
Yeah.
I
Having
thought
said
that about
that-
Carr.
All his training times had been going very well, and I think he was very unfortunate with the conditions. It was a wide open track, you know, no stands to speak of, and wind affects it terribly.
Yeah.
He paid 3 pacemakers to go with him, and none of them lasted the distance.
Yeah.
On
would
a different day, we probably have made it.
would that be legit though if he'd got pacemakers in? I
Yes,
thought there were rules.
in a competition like that, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
Not in the spirit of the
It's-
sport, though, surely.
The thing is, though, Paul, even if he'd have made it, would he have been up there competing as he passed his best?
Dead right,
Well-
Ron. I think
We'll never know.
fate has
You
dealt
can
him a
No,
never
we
rule
won't.
out a guy like him. Don't ever rule out a guy with that sort of mentality.
Well, last time he ran with an injured ankle, didn't he, when he failed to
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Now, who's to say that ankle's fully healed?
Yeah.
That could be another reason.
Yeah, it's like Andy Murray and his tennis. He just can't give it up, but the body's telling him something, you know?
Yeah.
He's given an awful lot.
Still
Never
managed
give
to
up.
win yesterday.
Yeah.
You never give up.
Yeah, not given quite as much as Ron Hill, though.
No. I
That's
think it's
right.
sad that he won't be able to defend his titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
sad, but you sometimes your body just won't do it, and you just have to find
Yeah.
another outlet. That's his problem. All these
Yeah.
pundits, they've got another outlet. You know, they finish their football and they get onto television, make loads of money. But somebody like Mo, his whole world's caved in a sense.
But all the times he's been doing in recent training sessions were right up there with the top athletes in the world.
Yeah.
Was there nowhere else he could have run, that would have got him qualification?
Apparently
Was
not.
Manchester the only option?
Apparently so, yeah.
No.
They should
There's
have
a
had him.
time limit, isn't there, Paul?
Yeah, but they're not on at the moment. I don't think there's any diamond leagues at the moment, are there?
Don't
No.
think so.
Not to know of.
No.
They should have had him running around Parson Cross. He'd have done it easy.
Yeah. or start at top a long line and run down into city centre.
Yeah.
Right, carry on to cricket, a little bit on cricket. Now, Kent all-rounder Darren Stevens could be playing first-class cricket at the age of 46 after he signed a new one-year deal. Currently, he is England's oldest first-class cricketer, having played for Kent since 2005, and he will be remembered for a fantastic innings of 190 in the county championship against Glamorgan last month. Steve-O has rightly earned hero status among not only Kent supporters, but fans of cricket in general, said Director of Cricket Paul Downton.
Went for 23 off 2 overs yesterday. Mind you, that was quite good compared to the other bowlers. A real thrash.
I've done better than that. I've gone for 23 off 1 over.
We should give him a. We should pick him for England at least once.
Sounds like Watch with Mother.
Yeah.
When the news,
It's anti-fancy on Tuesdays.
Just out of interest, Jonathan, did you go to any of the cricket?
I went to I went to the first Test match, but against New Zealand, but I haven't been. No.
Okay.
I think the Sri Lankan games were a bit of a non-event, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, coming on to that next, yeah.
Well, I've done it for you, Lol. Move on.
They just had to send 3 people home.
Yeah. Now, England outclassed opponents Sri Lanka as they completed a clean sweep in the 3-match T20 series. The first match at Sophia Gardens in Cardiff was an easy 8-wicket win. The second match, also in Cardiff, was interrupted by rain, and England won by 5 wickets on the Duckworth-Lewis method. The third match, played at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton, saw England thrash Sri Lanka by 89 runs, as the opposition were bowled out for only 91 in reply to England's 180 for 6. So, poor opposition.
They're playing them in ODIs today, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 overs.
Is it today?
Yeah.
3 of their best players been sent home because of COVID breaches.
Breaches, yeah.
Wicket keeper and the vice captain. Oh dear.
Big Paul, are you going to the ODIs?
Listen, my book's out on ODIs next week. I should buy it.
Good one.
Good on Paul.
Brilliant.
We'll go on to tennis, a little bit on tennis now. The 2-time champion Andy Murray, he returned to Wimbledon this week after a 4-year absence. The Briton has not played the event since 2017 because of injury and postponement of last year's competition. The defending women's champion, 29-year-old Romanian Simona Halep, has pulled out of Wimbledon because of a calf injury sustained when she tore a muscle at last month's Italian Open and was subsequently ruled out at the French Open. The second seed was at the All England Club last week, raising hopes she would be fit to defend the title she won in 2019, but she withdrew from the event minutes before Friday's draw. Now, British number 1, Johanna Conte, she's been ruled out of Wimbledon on the eve of the tournament because one of her team has tested positive for COVID. Now 30-year-old Conte, seeded 27 for the event, has been deemed a close contact and must therefore isolate for 10 days. Now, yesterday was some decent tennis. A British teenager, Jack Draper, wowed the returning home crowd by taking the opening set off Novak Djokovic before the defending champion fought back to win on day 1 of Wimbledon. Given a wild card for his Wimbledon debut, Draper stunned the Serbian top seed with a confident start, making it the first time that Djokovic had lost a set in the first round for 11 years. But the 5-time champion came through to win 4-6, 6-1, 6-2, 6-2 on centre court. Now, last night, Andy Murray made a winning start on his Wimbledon comeback as he beats 24th seed 24th seed Basel lost Billy by 3-1. It should have been 3-0.
The spirit of me.
Basel lost Billy. Basel lost Billy. Is that right?
Only language like that.
It should have been 3-0. But Murray, 5-0 up in the third set and serving for the match, managed to lose the set 7-5. A 15-minute delay while the roof on centre court was closed seemed to revitalise a tired-looking Murray, who had a shower during the break in play and came back to win 6-4, 6-3, 5-7, 6-3 under the lights. And I watched a lot of that match, alternating between that and football. Where are we now?
No, number 3 seed's out, isn't it? Already?
Yeah. Tissy pass.
That's why I said number 3 seed.
Yeah.
Good thinking, that man.
Brian, could you think what it would have been like booking a name like that with a red card and yellow card? Oh, Smith will do.
Yeah, don't do it again, son. Clear off.
Whilst we're on that, Brian, what do you think of the refereeing at the tournament?
I think it's been pretty good, all in all. I mean, obviously, some errors. Well, not errors. Some decisions that did give differently if they were sat on my sofa. That's for sure. But generally very good. But what I've noticed with interest is that now that crowds are back, I've noticed that the sort of crowding the referee stuff is creeping back in, when without the crowds it had crept back out. So I do note that with a bit of interest, in spite of UEFA's mandates that you shouldn't be doing that, but they do, and it just another example of how crowds influence not just games but actions, isn't it?
It took a long time to give that penalty last night, though, didn't it?
Yeah, but
But you get this effortless business of commentators accusing referees of being, or insinuating that they're cheats, saying, "Oh, because he gave a dodgy decision down one end, that's why he's given the bad." That I think is disgraceful to impugn the integrity of referees like that.
Yeah, and it's like what amuses me with the commentators is when he just about did this, or he probably did that. Like he puts the ball out for a corner, and he just about tackled that guy then, or he shot over the bar, or he just about missed it.
I hate that phrase.
It's crazy. It annoys me.
Did he or he didn't? He didn't
exactly.
Do it.
Yeah. The referee just about got that decision right, and I think, well, it looked to me like he got it perfectly right. From where I'm sat, but anyway, that's by the by, and I don't know if I said this before, but the other night there were 2 matches on. It was BBC. They had 4 people in the studio for one match, 3 people in the studio for the second match. These were on simultaneously. 2 commentators on each match. There were 11 people reporting on 2 matches. Scandalous.
Overkill.
Yeah, scandalous. Yeah.
And we're paying for it.
Exactly.
Right, carry on.
Right,
do we need it? What gets me is they start these programs about an hour and a half before kickoff.
Yeah. It's nonsense.
If you record one, you start the recording and you think, oh, it's still not on. What time is it? And you pass forward. But it seemed like forever, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I shall be logging on about 4:58 tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. Dead right.
Right, bit on golf then. Shall we carry on?
Yeah.
Now, Rory McIlroy, he's followed new US Open champion John Ram in confirming he will play next month's Scottish Open. The pair, along with major winners Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa, ensure that the 4 of the world's top 10 will compete at the Renaissance Club in East Lothian. McIlroy missed last year's Scottish Open, which was delayed until October because of COVID and the fact that it was held without fans. A strictly limited number can attend the tournament, which takes place on the 8th to the 11th of July. Now, Nottinghamshire all-rounder Peter Trigo swapped a cricket bat for a golf club last weekend as he aimed to qualify for the Open at Royal St George's in July. His quest began at Hollingwell Golf Course in Nottinghamshire on Sunday, when he was hoping to be one of 12 golfers from a field of 288 to secure a spot for the 149th Open. He had an agreement with his sponsor to donate money to the Professional Cricketers Association for every par, birdie or eagle that he made. Unfortunately, he ended with a 6-over par round of 78, which put him in joint 74th place along with 14 other players. The good news, though, that came out of this was that he made £1,000 for the Cricketers Trust. Now, a little bit on horse racing. Liam Treadwell was described as an absolute diamond at a special race day to remember the Grand National winning jockey on the anniversary of his death. Treadwell, who rode 100-to-1 shot on Mome to win the 2009 Grand National, was found dead at his home in Shropshire on the 23rd of June last year. All the 7 races at a special meeting at Worcester last Wednesday were named after him, and his favourite music was played between the action. Mon Mome, now 21, was paraded around the paddock during the fixture. An auction of racing memorabilia in memory of Treadwell is helping to raise money for the brain charity Headway and the Injured Jockeys Fund. How long have we got? 5 minutes, yeah. On to Formula One. The Silverstone will be allowed to have a capacity crowd for the British Grand Prix on the 18th of July. The track can hold about 140,000 spectators, which will make it the largest crowd for a sporting event in the UK since the start of the pandemic. Lewis Hamilton said he was excited about the news about the crowd coming, but worried about the rise in the COVID cases in the UK. Now, going back to last weekend's Grand Prix, Red Bull's Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton to take a dominant victory in the Styrian Grand Prix. Starting on pole position, the Dutchman led every lap at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg to take the checkered flag 35 seconds clear of Hamilton's Mercedes to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship to 18 points over the Briton. Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas, he was handed a 3-place grid penalty for spinning his car in the pit lane in practice. He finished in 3rd place, 11 seconds behind his Mercedes teammate. It was the 4th consecutive win for Red Bull in Grand Prix this season. Right.
Do you know why, Lol? I've got a theory why the Red Bull are winning all the races.
Go on.
They've allowed people on the track now, you know, the commentators before they actually start. They used to go on the track. They started going back on the track. And all the Red Bull technicians stood round the back of the car so that the camera couldn't spot what they'd done. And they reckon there's some form of supercharger, what have you. There are 2 or 3 exhausts on the back of a Formula One car, and it's to do with sort of, I would call it supercharger.
Is it something on the hand or something that's legal?
I think it's legal, but it just keeps them a step ahead of Mercedes, you know. And it was just, is it Martin Brundle who does it? He was walking around and he just literally stomached. But as soon as he went near the back, all the technicians, the mechanics, so surrounded the back of the car. Interesting. So anyway, Peter wouldn't have found it interesting, would you, Peter? No, no.
Do you like Formula One?
Not a lot.
I've got time to do a bit on football now, Ian, before we finish this half.
2 minutes, 13 seconds.
Right, I'll run it away then. Now, the away goals rule in European club football is to be abolished from the start of next season. Governing body UEFA has confirmed. The rule, which has been used since 1965, decided drawn two-legged games by favouring the team that scored the most away goals. All ties level on aggregate at the end of the second leg will instead go to extra time and potentially penalties. It is no longer appropriate for an away goal to carry more weight, said UEFA President Alexander Seferin. Now, former Wales boss, Nuno Espirito Santo, is now leading contender to become the new manager at Tottenham. Spurs sacked Jose Mourinho on the 19th of April, but have endured a chaotic search for a replacement, with several big names on their radar. Talks with ex-Roma boss Paulo Fonseca ended several days ago, and Gennaro Gattuso also went out of consideration amid a fan protest. Nuno has also been linked with managerless Everton and Crystal Palace this summer.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
Here we go.
Well, we're
Yeah.
less than a minute, so just
Yeah.
finish it when we come back.
Yeah, there's only a couple of items then.
I will be back on Ian, so.
Well done, mate. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Can you end it for everybody, Ian? 'Cause-
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Fine.